Today we're going to be taking a look at my passive earnings for the month of November. These are my passive earnings for the month of November. This doesn't include anything that is physical mining, whether that's GPU, ASIC, really anything along those lines. I did include Helium in here because it truly is 100% passive. With the ASICs, with the GPUs, with the CPUs, there's some manual intervention that comes into play with those. And so I'm not going to cover those in these videos, but I am including Helium in this, and then any nodes that I'm running or anything that is purely set it up and pretty much forget it. So let's start off with Helium. For the month, I only earned 1.016 HNT, and all these prices were taken at the end of November. That equated to $4.68. Honeygain, which is a bandwidth sharing app, I run it. All of these, with the exception of Helium, are all running through HiveOS rigs as supplemental services. So Honeygain is running, and I'm getting the payouts in the Jump token on the Binance Smart Chain network. And the big reason to that is you get a bonus with Honeygain for those. And so in the month of November, I earned 1.61 Jumped, which equates to $3.76. And that included 3 days of downtime, which was mainly I was moving my NAS to HiveOS. So during that 3-day span, I had it completely offline. Mysterium. This one has taken a surprising turn, and I first started getting into Mysterium around this time last year. It was moving from testnet to mainnet, and it was working really well from a client standpoint, but there wasn't a lot of people using it. The earnings really weren't there. I've been running it on and off for the past year, here and there, and the earnings were never really there. Well, utilization has finally picked up on it, and it's looking really good. So I set it back up on November 20th. So we're really only looking at like 10 days of usage here. And I earned almost 8 Mysterium, which is $2. Now, one thing I will say with Mist is the auto payout is every 5 Mist, but there's a 20% fee. It's significant. I'll cover Mysterium in a future video, but that's the only thing to know. You can't really change that threshold. So the auto settlement is every 5 Mysterium, but for every 5 you earn, you're only getting 4. So it is on the Polygon network. So it's pretty easy to exchange for whatever you want to exchange it for. You will have to exchange it on the Polygon network and then transfer it to whatever other chain that you may want it on. Next up are my 3 storage providers. The first one, this one I've had the longest, and this month on this specific provider hit basically the duration that I have had it up and running on the Storj network, which I think was 12 months, that I am no longer getting any held collateral, meaning I'm receiving 100% of my earnings, right? There's no held back amount anymore moving forward. So I am sharing 3.5 terabytes. However, it's currently only utilizing 2.09 terabytes. So these earnings are going to be based off of the usage, not off of total capacity. I earned 17.39 Storj token, which Storj token is on Ethereum. So it is a ERC20 token, and if you have a small amount, it'll just roll over to the next month until you meet a payment threshold due to gas fees. So for the month, I earned $5.74, and that was on that 2.09 terabytes. moving on to my second storage node, which was running on a Windows server, and my total capacity was 4.7 terabytes shared. However, it was only using 201 gigabytes. I had started this around the same time I was moving from my NAS to my servers. I set up a couple more storage nodes, and so that's why the utilization is a little bit low on these. But it's 201 gigs used, and I made 23 cents off of that one. And then the Storj secondary node. This was a server that I originally built to run a Flux Fractus node on. I still may run Flux Fractus. I'm still up in the air on it. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm running an additional instance of Storj on that server. It's got 14 terabytes of capacity, currently shared, and it's using 77 gigabytes. Now this one I had just spun up on the 27th of the month, so we're only looking at 3 days of revenue here, but it was 16 cents, which is just under half of a Storj token. And then the last one is another decentralized storage provider called SCPrime. And SCPrime was a fork of SIA coin, and they're still kind of in the early stages of what I would call testnet. They're working on marketing, they're working on rolling out their service to other platforms, or to companies that may be using AWS, other services, and they're really trying to get their name out there, work on getting their products sold. And so one of the things with Storj is taking that into account, right? I deem it still testnet. There's really no storage being used on the network other than what they have done for incentives. So Storj as a network, SCPrime as a network has kind of the lead product team there. Basically took a bunch of data and threw it on the network to make sure everything was working and to get revenue for all of their providers, right? There's got to be some type of incentive for people to remain on the network. In addition to that, there was this big dev fund that they had that they've been distributing out to all of their providers over the past year and a half, and they're going to continue to do so through 2023. So what you're going to see here on the earnings is a combination of that slight usage and also incentives for uptime, things that are coming out of that dev fund. So once again on this one, I was providing 3.5 terabytes of storage, and it was only using, to clarify, at the end of the month, it was only using 300 gigabytes. About halfway through the month, it was using 650 gigabytes. And the reason for the massive drop-off was when I was in the process of moving my server I was running the SCPrime hosting on my NAS, moved it to a dedicated server, and I had a little hiccup with starting it up before I adjusted the folder, and I ended up getting temporarily banned on the network, and they immediately wiped all the data off of my provider when that happened and banned me. So I contacted them through their Discord. They unbanned me, and they started re-pushing all the data down to me. They are working on a better solution than an instant ban when that happens. However, that's just kind of the way things are right now. With that said, I still earned 82.57 SCP, which equates to $12.53. So my total earnings for the month of November was $29.10. For the month of December, I'm adding a couple new services. So in December, this is my plan. We're going to continue to do Helium. We're going to do Honeygain, which Honeygain's been probably one of my favorite services to run over the course of the past year or so. Mysterium, we're going to continue to do. Storj, we're going to continue to do. We may get rid of the Windows server. I've since repurposed this into a VM host that I'm running in HiveOS. SCPrime we're going to continue to use for now. And then we've added several more bandwidth sharing apps. So we've got Peer-to-Profit, Packet Stream, Traf Monetizer, BitPing, IP Royal Pawns. All of these I have used in the past, over the past year. In fact, you can kind of see I already have some balances out there, that these are just accumulations over the past year. I just decided to reinstall them and give them another shot. I had stopped using them because Honeygain was the most profitable for me, and so I just kind of stopped using these. A couple of these I think will probably drop off in January. We're giving it a spin. You have to have a residential IP address to run most of these, and even though I am at a residence, my IP through AT&T is considered business class on some of these platforms. It's really weird. A couple show it as residential, the others show it as business. And so for the ones that show it as business, pretty much won't get anything. In fact, I tried running a couple other services, and it gave me an error telling me I had a business IP, and it wasn't supported on their platform. Two new services that I've never used before that I'm giving a shot to as well are Repocket and ProxyRack. So these are two new services, and I just started these a couple days ago. So we'll see how these ones go as well. So look forward to a video early January covering what my December profits look like. And I'd like to continue doing this type of video once a month just to go over my passive earnings.